Hi, my name is Stacy Lewis, and this is my tutoring group, and we are doing week 1 of tutoring Tuesday. So we'll begin. All right. Can we start by can someone raise their hand and summarize what we talked about yesterday for our read aloud? Do you remember what happened in our read aloud yesterday? In our Big Fat Zombie Goldfish book. Do you remember what happened yesterday, Parker?
The Mark tried getting the evil eel, and the dads were playing on their cell phone.
They were, and Sammy was asleep. Okay. Well, we're going to read 2 chapters today, and we're going to find out what happens. Are you ready? Chapter 7 is what we're ready for, and it is called Not So Smooth Sailing. Here we go. Pradeep and I started to untie the boat. I brushed some seaweed off the side. It's called A Vision of Velma, I said, reading the name that was painted there in swirly writing. Hey, have you ever rowed a real boat before? No, but how hard could it be, Pradeep answered. We slipped on some life jackets and put Frankie's sick bag in the bottom of the boat. Half an hour and 4 super sore arms later, I said, really, really hard. We could see Mark up ahead of us, but it seemed to take ages to get close. He was in a motorboat after all, and we were rowing. Finally, we got close enough to read the name on the side of Mark's boat. Daphne's Delight, it read in slanted writing. Mark had his back to us and was pulling hard on a long fishing rod, trying to reel something in. Do you think he caught the... I started. But before I could finish, my question was answered by a mega-long eel leaping along the air alongside Mark's boat. Eel! Pradeep and I both squealed. Now, I'm not a kid who squeals on a regular basis. Pradeep isn't either. I don't squeal at mice or spiders or scary movies or disgusting, unidentifiable things stuck to the bottom of my sneaker. But I think that squealing when a massive eel jumps out of the water near you is fair enough. I dare you not to squeal if it happens to you. Amazingly, Mark kept a hold of the fishing rod, but the motorboat rocked hard from side to side. So here we have a picture of the evil eel.
It looks crazier than I thought.
Does it? Then we heard a sound that none of us expected. Not Mark, not me, and especially not Pradeep. Naughty swishy eel, a small voice shouted from Mark's boat. We looked over to see Sammy climbing out from under a tarpaulin in the bottom of Daphne's Delight. I want to see sea, not play with naughty eel, she shouted as she stood up. Mark nearly dropped the fishing rod. Little moron, he said, twisting around. Were you hiding under there the whole time? Do you remember where they thought Sammy was?
In bed.
They thought Sammy was still sleeping, didn't they? Then he noticed me and Pradeep in a rowboat. What is this? A moron family outing, he yelled. Sammy giggled and started singing. Sammy went to see what she could see. At that moment, the eel pulled hard on the line and it jerked the boat. Sammy wobbled back and forth for a moment before a final rock of the boat sent her tumbling into the water. Before we start the next chapter, they talked about rowing a boat. Have any of you ever rowed a boat? You have the oars, right? Let's all scoot our chairs back and let's practice. Let's pretend like we're oaring. You practice like this. You push the oar this way and then pull it. This way and pull it. So do you think they said that the boys did this for a half an hour? Yep. If you were really pushing that water, do you think your arms would get tired after a while? Yeah. All right. So that's what it was like for them when they were rowing in the boat. You did? Were your arms tired?
Yeah.
Oh, did you? You did both sides, huh? And maybe that's how they did it too, if they didn't have enough for both arms.
Well, there was 3 of us, so 2 of them would switch and I would be on this side. And my grandfather did it on this side, now he's on this side.
Very cool. All right, scoot back up. We'll read chapter 8. Tumbling Toddler Terror. Mark looked too stunned to move. Sammy! Pradeep screamed and sprang into action. He grabbed a spare life jacket from the bottom of our boat and held it tight in his hand. Pradeep, wait! I'll get help, I shouted. There's no time, he said, handing me his glasses. I'm a good swimmer. I'm coming, Sammy! He yelled as he leaped into the choppy water. The eel looked as if it was in pain. The hook hung out of its mouth and it glared at Mark. Like this. He's glaring. It reared up and splashed down again and again, sending wave after wave of water sloshing into both boats. If it kept doing that, we'd all sink. "Let go, Mark," I yelled. Pradeep had reached Sammy and had her hanging onto the life jacket. He dragged her over to our boat and shoved her up so she could reach the side. I hauled her in and she slumped down into the well of the boat next to Frankie. She was soggy and shaken, but at least she was safe. I held my hand over the side to help pull Pradeep in too. That's when I saw a fin, then another fin, and then the tail. It whacked against the side of a vision of Velma, knocking me over and shoving the boat out of Pradeep's reach. When I scrambled back to my feet, I could see that the evil eel was surrounding Pradeep. "Look out!" I yelled. Suddenly I saw a flash of orange fins and green eyes swoosh past me. Who is it?
The eel.
No, who is it? It says orange fins and green eyes.
Oh, the fish.
Sorry, zombie goldfish, isn't it? Frankie had leaped out of his bag and into the water. His eyes were pulsing with green zombie power as he flung himself toward Pradeep. Sammy stood up in our boat next to me. All I kept thinking was, "Come on, Frankie, come on." Mark yanked on the fishing line again, which seemed to make the eel even more angry. It tightened its grip around Pradeep as he tried to swim back to our boat. "Help!" Pradeep gasped as he struggled to keep his face above the water. "Maybe the eel will go away if you just let go," I yelled at Mark. But Mark kept hold of the fishing rod. "Are you nuts, moron? If I let go, then the eel can bite him too." The eel's head reared out of the water just by Pradeep. Sammy clutched my hand. The creature thrashed back and forth wildly, trying to loosen the hook stuck in its mouth. Then I saw Frankie leap out of the water, right between Pradeep and the eel. Frankie's eyes were blazing green. For a second, the eel seemed stunned by Frankie's zombie stare. Frankie almost seemed to hover in midair. You know, like ninjas do in fight scenes in those old kung fu movies. The eel's eyes crossed and he looked at the boat with one eye and up Pradeep's left nostril with the other. Frankie had done it. He had hypnotized the eel. It loosened its coils and Pradeep pulled free. Just as he slipped out of its grip, the eel shook its head hard, like it was trying to wake its brain up and shake off Frankie's stare. Then it plunged back into the water with Frankie close behind. "Swim, Pradeep, swim," I urged him. He quickly made it to the boat and we pulled him inside. Sammy clung to the leg of his soggy jeans and wouldn't let go. Pradeep shoved on his glasses and peered over the side looking for Frankie. Mark called, "Get out of here, morons! Row back to shore and leave the eel to me." "Where's Swishy Fishy?" Sammy shouted to Mark. "That moron fish is eel food," Mark yelled back. "If the eel hasn't eaten him already, I'll feed him to it myself." So, that's the end of our chapters today. How do you propose that Tom and Pradeep save Frankie? Frankie.
Oh.
Frankie's in the water with the evil eel.
No.
You don't have any ideas? What do you think, Drake? You think they'll come up with a plan? You think so? We'll find out, won't we? All right. All right, now, just like yesterday, we're going to do our vocabulary word of the day. I'm going to move this because I don't think I'm going to sit down. Yesterday we talked about main idea, and we chose slips of paper, and we each read a definition, and we picked which one was the best one. Casey had it yesterday, didn't you, Casey? Main idea was the most important or central thought of a text. Today, our vocabulary word is detail. Okay? So we're going to pick our slips of paper again. We'll just start over here with Drake. And we will read these and we will decide which one is the correct definition. Drake, do you want to read yours first?
Sure.
That is a very tough word. The C sounds like an S. So we're going to say specific. Specific.
A specific part of a whole.
A specific part of a whole. Not the kind of hole like in the ground. This has a W on it, which means it's part of something bigger. Parker, what does yours say?
A type of interesting
Internet
code word.
Okay. Casey, what do you think?
Something you wear on your head.
Oh, okay. So what is a detail? Is it something you wear on your head? Is it a type of internet code word? What do you think? Casey says no. Is it a specific part of a whole? It is. Very good. Drake, you had it today. So will you come up and glue it onto our word wall? And you can do it just like Casey did. Just pick an open spot, stick it on there, and then we'll put the definition right underneath it, okay? There we go. Where would you like it? And here's your definition. Very good. Okay, you can sit down. Okay, so definition of detail is a specific part of a whole. We're going to talk about this today. We're going to read a couple of stories, and you're going to watch a read aloud on the iPad, and we're going to look at details in a story. Let's see, we will get started with a story first.